Hey guys, Ernie here and welcome to the Paleo Hiker MD channel. I recently did a video on the Jetboil Fluxring to see whether or not it really makes a difference in helping you boil water faster. During that video, I wondered out loud whether or not the Fluxring would help an alcohol stove work better as well. So stay tuned, let's boil some water and find out. Now I hope you guys are ready to boil some water because we've got a lot of work to do. Now I had to give some thought to how to conduct the test. What I decided on was that since the Stash's pot is 5 inches, we're also going to use a 5-inch pot in the Evernew 900 milliliter mug pot. That way we have the same diameter, but of course the Fluxring should have more surface area, and of course it does. But boiling just a little bit of water isn't our style, so we're going to look at 4 different alcohol stoves so that we really get a good idea of what's going on. We're going to use the Trangia. We're going to use a new Trangia type stove by GoshaWk. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Haven't done a review on it, but I really like it. It has copper tubing inside of it. Looks kind of like a Trangia, but really isn't. We're also going to use the Toaks Siphon Titanium stove, and of course, the Fancy Feast DIY cat can stove. Each test is going to be 2 cups of water, 1 ounce of fuel. I use heat out of the yellow bottle as my fuel. For the burners that need a pot stand, we're going to use the same one. We're going to use the Evernew Titanium cross stand. We can use that with everything except for, of course, the cat can stove because it doesn't need a pot stand. I'm not worried about how long that ounce of fuel will burn. That's another video that we've probably already done. We're just looking for how long it takes to get 2 cups of water to a boil. Hopefully we'll be able to find out, does the Fluxring help and how much faster do you get water to a boil using it? I know you guys are ready. Let the boiling commence. Okay, well, we're gonna start boiling water. You guys will notice something. This is not the Evernew Titanium cross stand. I had to change it up because it wouldn't support the Stash pot very well. I needed something that was flat and was safer. So we're using the Generation 2 Firebox stove, folding wood stove. Just have the plate up and it works perfectly well. Just telling y'all why it's not what I said it was going to be. So we're going to start with the Stash and the Trangia. Turn that on. Put this on. Start. Alright, so to be honest with y'all, I don't like how far the stove is away from the pot. So this is my first one. So we're going to extinguish this bad boy. I'm going to move the Trangia up about 3/4 of an inch. And I think that will be better. Alright, let's start this again. We are about 1 inch to 1.25 inches below the pot, better than the other one. Alright, there's a Trangia lit. Put this right over the top, start our timer, and now I'm happy with the distance, and we're going to continue down the road of boiling a whole bunch of water with these stoves. Alright, 5 minutes 28 seconds for the Trangia and the Jetboil. I'm going to put this Trangia out if I can, maybe not. Come on now. There we go. Alright, back at 63 degrees. Let's get our Trangia rolling. And we've got our Evernew mug pot without the Fluxring. Pop this on. Turn on our timer. Get this out of the way. And we'll see how long it takes. Alright, 9:20, pretty typical time for my Trangia Spirit Burner. Alright, next we're going to move on to a new stove that I got recently. I'm pretty impressed with it. Let me show you guys. So real quick, this is the Steampunk by GoshaWk. Check that out. Looks like a Trangia, but it's got these copper tubes, siphon type stove. Very, very cool. I will be doing a full review on this thing. I've burnt with it 4 or 5 times. Very impressed. So I wanted to include it just because I think it's the closest thing to competition to the Trangia I've found. So we're going to include it. Let me get my water together. Let's get this thing going. There it is. We've got our water back in our Jetboil pot. Start this up. And let's see what we get with the GoshaWk. This is a pretty awesome little stove. Like I said, you're going to want details, I know. You're just going to have to wait for the review. All right, 454, 454. If you're wanting a little sneak peek of the flame pattern, let me turn this light down for you. Look at that bad boy, huh? To be continued. Okay, we're back with the GosHawk siphon, and it's also known as the Steampunk, in case you're wondering. We've got our ever new titanium mug pot, so no Fluxring technology. Put this up here. Let's start. All right, 823. 823 for the GosHawk. Still going strong here. Whew. That's enough noise, isn't it? So 823, let's move on to the Toke siphon. Okay, moving on to the Toke's siphon. Turn that on. Put our stove on. This is the Fluxring. And you'll notice something about this stove is it makes a lot of noise. It's kind of interesting. But let's see how long it takes to get to a boil. Alright guys, it's boiling. I mean, it's been boiling a little while. It won't go up. Sometimes it just doesn't do that. It won't go up to 212. We're going to call that at like 5 minutes 40 seconds. 540 for the Tokes. Alright, so the Tokes was a little bit slower. I'm going to start it up. And put on our ever new mug pot. Right over the top there. Get that started. I'm having a little bit of an issue because there we go. All right, no harm, no foul. So let's see how long it takes. Almost missed it. Was making some coffee there. 7:17 for the Toke's siphon. Pretty impressive. 7:17 with the flat bottom pot. Alright, a little different view here. We've got the cat can stove. Of course, it's its own pot stand. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. Let's start it up. Alright, we do have to let this one bloom. And it is bloomed, so let's get it on top here. Alright, let's see how long it takes. 2 cups of water. Move this so y'all can see it with the cat can stove. Okay, we're getting close. 6:28 for the cat can stove. Kind of surprised that it took the longest. I didn't know if it would have an advantage or a disadvantage sitting straight on there, but it seems to have a little bit of a disadvantage. But 6:28, let's see how it does with the standard pot. Alright, last one, guys. What is this? 2, 4, that's a whole lot of freaking water boiled. This is the 1 1/4 inch height cat can stove, and we've got our ever new titanium mug pot. Once again, we need to let it bloom. It is bloomed. Whoa. Top on good. 5:37. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. 5:37. Faster than with the Fluxring. So let's review the results. Very interesting results from our testing. Let's start with the Trangia. The Trangia brought 2 cups of water to a boil 3 minutes and 48 seconds faster when we used the Fluxring versus the standard pot. The GosHawk Steampunk brought 2 cups of water to a boil 3 minutes and 29 seconds faster with the Fluxring than with the standard pot. Moving on to the Tokes, we start to get diminishing returns. It brought 2 cups of water to a boil with the Fluxring 1 minute and 37 seconds faster than the standard pot. And then super interestingly, the Fancy Feast cat stove, the DIY stove, which does not need a pot stand, was 51 seconds slower with the Fluxring than with the standard pot. Who would have thunk it? So did we see an improvement with the Fluxring? Well, yes. When we use the standard Trangia type burners, whether it be the Trangia or the Steampunk, we really saw a difference. 3 to 4 minutes faster with the Fluxring. So if you're going to put together an alcohol stove kit with one of these stoves, you might want to consider getting something with this redundant Fluxring technology at the bottom to increase the surface area. Now, something like the Tokes really didn't make as much of a difference. Now, maybe the sweet spot as far as how far away you want the Tokes to be. I wanted to use one of the Tokes stands, but it just would not work with the Fluxring. It was way too unstable. Then you get to the Fancy Feast, and it's interesting. I actually thought that it might do even better than the others because it's putting that flame right onto the bottom of the Fluxring, but it absolutely did not. For whatever reason, that type of stove did not like the Fluxring. So if you're like me and you use that DIY cat can stove a lot, you want to stay away from anything like this pot from Jetboil. Now, talking about weights a little bit, the Stash's burner, the actual propane burner, is 2 ounces. So if you're wanting to save a little bit of weight, what do these other stoves weigh? The Trangia weighs about 2.8 ounces, and the Steampunk is just a little bit less, about 2.5. The Tokes is about 0.78 ounces, and the Fancy Feast is right at about an ounce, the one that I use today. So you're really not going to save a ton of weight by moving to an alcohol stove. I don't think you're really going to get any faster than using the gas stove that comes along with the Stash. But if you're one of those people that likes alcohol stoves more, alcohol is easier to find sometimes than propane when you're out on the trail. You can go to any convenience store or any gas station and get a bottle of heat where you really can't get a canister of gas that easily. So a lot of people do want to carry alcohol stoves because it's easier to find fuel. If you want to do that, you can combine it with the Stash type pot. Just make sure you pick the right one. I'm not sure if you can buy the Stash pot alone, but if you're looking for something similar, you can look at the XDS from Olicamp. It's about $27, $28. It's a little bit larger than the Stash, and it is heavier than the Stash pot as well, but it gives you a little more flexibility with more volume, and it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper. Not sure if you guys are aware, but I have an entire playlist on stoves, well over 100 videos now on my stove playlist. Make sure you check it out. I'll leave a link down below as well as up here in the cards. If you like the video, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. Really helps spread things across YouTube. I say that, but it really does make a difference. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscription button. And if you want to be notified of any videos in the future, hit the notification bell and you will be the first to know. I've had a very long day of stove testing here in Arkansas. I am ready to take a shower and hit the sack. As always, guys, I appreciate you checking out the Paleo Hiker MD channel. Stay tuned for more videos soon.